Good day, Madam. My name is Anantharubini. So today I'll be the first presenter. So I will present on the reflection on weekly activity that we have done. So there are 4 activities. The first is logo. So the first weekly activity was to create a logo. The logo must reflect to our project title. So our project title was on human trafficking awareness campaign. So this is an individual task. Everyone has to done their logo and have to present. So what was the online tools I use? The online tools I used I choose to create the logo is Canva apps. So the problem I encounter while creating this logo is that since I'm not used to using the Canva app for editing or creating anything before this, so I need to discover their features that has been provided, and most of their features we need to purchase in order to get their premium Canva. So how I managed to solve the problem by doing some research and also watch YouTube apps on how to use Canva for a beginner. And from there, I learned how to use their features. And also I managed to get their premium Canva by purchasing it so that I can use all of their features. How do I feel about the online IT tools is that since I have a little experience in using the Canva apps before, and also with the guidance from the YouTube, so there is a less difficulty and took lesser time for me to create and finish the task. So what I learned throughout the first week activity, I actually did the logo quite manually. So I did not know that Canva are actually providing a lot of templates that has been provided to create a logo. So it was a new experience for me, and I learned that there are a lot of things that I did not know about Canva and need to learn more on it. So these are the logo that has been created, and also on the next slide is the descriptions of the logo. So next is poster. So the next weekly activity was to create a poster based on the title for project. This is also an individual task. So the IT tools I use is Canva, also the Canva apps to create the poster. The problem I faced during creating the poster is that I need a strong internet connection in order to use the features, the tools that has been provided in the apps. So I managed to solve the problems after a few trials. I made a few posters and keep on trying until I managed to finish the task. So as I mentioned above, I'm not so familiar with all the features in the Canva, so I learned something new on how to create posters by using their features and also pamphlet that has been provided. So I learned that Canva is actually making our life easier, especially as a student like me, for making poster, as because provide everything in there. Example like template, and also latest features that we will like to input. So these are the posters that have been created, and also the next is the poster with the descriptions. So for the third weekly activity was to create a brochure it's also regarding on our project. So our brochure has to include all the infos example like the venue, objective of the awareness campaign, and etc. So it is a group activity. So my task on this week was to provide info on the background, objective, and also the target audience for the campaign. and the IT tools has been used to create the brochure is also Canva apps. So the problem I encounter while doing the brochure is that we are having a lack of time to complete the task, as it took time because of other workloads, and as well as so it makes us difficult to complete this task. Aside that, it is difficult to gather everyone since it is done through the online discussion. So it's very difficult to us to gather everyone at the same time to have a discussions, because everyone has different schedules and also our classes and all that. So as for the lack of time and difficulties, together we allocate a specific time to have a Zoom section to discuss tasks and also complete it together. And also we communicate in order to match our schedule so that the problems are fixed and everything goes smoothly. So I learned on to create and also to edit by having these weekly activities. I learned on how to create editing part when using the Canva. Also what I learned through the activity, as I mentioned above, this is a new things for me. So there are a lot of features that I need to go through and learn on. So the next for the last weekly activity was to create a storyboard about our human trafficking awareness campaign. So my task was to create this storyboard, while my friends will provide me those infos that I need to put in the storyboard. This is also a group task. So the IT tools I use to create storyboard is storyboard.com. Overall, there is no such major issues that I faced, but the small issues I encountered while using the storyboard, that storyboard.com, it was, since this is a first time I'm using the apps and it was not as easy as Canva apps. The whole layout of the website was difficult to understand for a beginner like me, since I need to discover all the features they provide. So I solved the problems by try and error makes some random storyboard to see on how I can come up with a proper one for our activity. So I used this time to familiarize with the tools and also refers to some videos for me to get a proper understanding to create a storyboard. So how do I feel while using the IT tools? Except before using the storyboard apps, it was quite difficult to understand to overall of the website. But after getting the end of it, I felt motivated to do the task because it helps in enhancing the storyline better. With the features provided, it is easier for me to create a background, the text, character, and etc. So what I learned through this activity is that it was a new experience for me, as I learned on using the animations, the text, adding elements, and etc. It was not as I explained before this. It was not easy for me to use and familiar with the features, as like to make the characters, making the characters shapes, talking. So it was so hidden. So I need to explore in order to understand and how to use it. So this is the storyboard that have been created. And so this one. So that's all from me. Thank you. I'll pass to the next presenter.
Good afternoon to Madam and my fellow classmates. My name is Nurin Qiestina and I will continue with the presentation. Okay, so for the first activity, as Ruby has mentioned before, there was 4 activities that is needed to be done by us. The first activity was the logo making. I made this logo using the Canva app. one of the problems that I faced while making the logo was probably on what to add or what icon to use for the logo, because I've never used Canva before. It was a challenge to find logos that reflect our human trafficking campaign. But in the end, I did find some logos that can it reflects our campaign better. So the second activity was the poster making. Each one of us had to make a poster for our campaign. I made this poster using Canva. I used Canva. There was no problems in making the poster because I did I did learn how to make the poster using the templates that was given. This is the photo that I found on the internet, which I used Canva to enter the photo into the poster. Moving on to the third activity. This was a group activity. My task was on designing the brochure, while my friends gave me all the infos. There was also no problems while making this brochure because there was a ready-made template on Canva. How do I feel about making my logo, my brochure, and my poster on Canva? I think Canva makes our work more easier because there was a ready-made template and all of the icons are very easy to find. And yeah, Canva just makes our life easier. The last task was also a group work. It was a storyboard. My task here was to find or to create a scene that depicts human trafficking, and I gave it to Ruby since she was in charge of designing. One of the problems here was definitely how not all three of us can make the storyboard together, like Google Slides and Google Documents. All of us can involve in making the slides, but in storyboard only one person can design, so it was quite a issue for us to communicate and how to make the storyboard. But in the end, since we did discuss through Zoom on how the storyboard needs to look, the problem was solved. So that's all from me. I'll pass on to the next presenter.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, and hopefully you are in good and pink of health, Madam Karia. Today I will present about my activities during this PAC, which is the first activity is about the compliant logo. Wait, this is the compliant logo which I created using Canva, and I have to admit Canva allows for a more sophisticated design without being tricky to use, and the ready-made templates, the wide selection of fonts, and the handy drag and drop tool make Canva very quick to learn, and so you can get your presentation smooth and without any problems. The design I use is quite simple, as I have mentioned I have not much time to design um, a good logo for the activities. So we use Qiestina's logo for the whole project, and I think it is a good logo from Qiestina. So let's move on to the next right. What's next? Poster, yeah, poster. So the poster, so the next poster is about poster. So the next activity is about the our poster. It is a group. It is a group activity. So I think it is Qiestina's idea. I think it is Qiestina's choice that Madam made. So this is the PDF form. I think it's a good design, and I think that when Madam approved it, I think it's a good choice for the project. So let us go to the last activity, which is the pamphlet and the storyboard. Um, so this is the storyboard, which is the group activity also. Using the app, using the website, the storyboard that it is a very good website for us to use it to make the storyboard work with the pamphlet that also already been provided. And I think it's a very good storyboard, which is made by Ruby and Ruby. With Ruby, and it is a very good storyboard. So I think that is all for my presentation today, Madam. Thank you very much for listening. Okay, that is all for me.
Okay, then